Hello again. This time I'll be talking about you, and it's paraphrased from A Course in Miracles, but I'll have to read it. So it's about you. Nothing you do or think or wish or make is necessary to establish your worth. When Michelangelo was asked how he created a piece of sculpture, he answered that the statue already existed within the marble. He would just have to get rid of the excess marble that surrounded it. The perfect you is the love within you. Allow the Holy Spirit to remove your fearful thinking that surrounds the perfect you. It's not arrogant to keep in your mind that you are loved and lovable. Nothing you have ever done or will do can mar the perfection that God sees. Focus on what you are rather than what you do or don't do. That's not what determines your essential value. God accepts you exactly as you are. He keeps your mind lit by His light. His light is what your mind is. Psychologist Carl Jung had the notion of our collective unconscious. It encompasses universal thought forms of all humanity. If you go deeply enough into your mind and into mine, there is a level we all share. The concept of a divine or Christ mind is the idea that we are actually the same, like spokes on a wheel radiating out from the same center. If you define us according to our position on the rim, we seem separate and distinct from one another. If you define us according to the starting point or source, the center of the wheel, we have a shared identity. When we dig deep enough, the picture is the same. We are love. Psychologically speaking, Christ is our common thread of divine love. Love in one of us is love in all of us. There is no place where God stops and you start, and no place where you stop and I start. Love is energy with an infinite continuum. Our minds don't stay enclosed within our bodies. We're sunbeams, thinking we're separate from the sun. Waves, thinking we're separate from the ocean. We can't separate ourselves from one another. We are a vast sea within an indivisible mind. We forget who we really are. We identify with the notion of a small, separate self. But there is a reality we share with everyone. You aren't who you think you are. Not your grades or credentials or resumes or house. Not those things. We are created to be love itself. Accepting Christ is a shift in self-perception. When we awaken from the dream that we are finite, isolated creatures, we recognize that we are infinitely creative spirits and accept the power of the universe is within us. Focus on the power of Christ that lies within us. I accept that the beauty within me is who I really am. I'm not my anger or my small-mindedness. I'm much more than that. The ego is a fearful thought. When we were kids, we were constantly taught to be good. that would imply that we weren't good already. Being good or not seemed to be determined conditionally. Not many children feel approved of unconditionally. It's based on what we do rather than who we are. It's a tough world the way it is. Our sense of power has been weirdly displaced. We don't learn discipline in that way. We learn from our perspective. What we learned was fear, that we weren't good enough. Fear doesn't promote learning, it warps us. People are constantly invalidating us. Without love, we begin to fall apart. Every thought creates an experience. There's a tendency in our minds to think that we are separate, finite beings. Love feels like a void that threatens to overwhelm us. In a way, it does. It overwhelms. It overwhelms our lonely sense of separateness. Since the sense of separateness is who we think we have, an entire network of fearful perceptions known as the ego. We use the word ego the way ancient Greeks used it, as a small separated self. It's a false belief of ourselves and who we are. This leads to anxiety that we are reluctant to heal. A thought separated from love is a profound miscreation, our own power turned against us. An entire illusionary world is a detour into fear. The separation from God. The ego has a pseudo-life of its own, and it fights hard for its survival. Our life can be painful or even desperate at times. We live the life we know, clinging to the old, reluctant to trying something new. The ego is like a virus in the computer that attacks the core system. Our self-love turns into self-hatred. It's like a gravitational force field, built up over eons of fearful thinking. The ego is our mental power turned against ourselves. It doesn't say, "Hi, I'm your self-loathing." It says, "Hi, I'm your adult, mature, rational self, and I'll help you look out for number one." At the expense of others, it teaches greed, judgment, and small-mindedness. What we give to others, we give to ourselves. When we choose fear instead of love, we deny ourselves the experience of paradise.